On her first full day on the campaign trail, she actually predicted that Donald Trump's going to be in jail by Election Day. I'll have the details on this claim in a few. And Democrats are attacking the Second Amendment. Apparently, this is a great campaign issue for them again. This time, they're trying to make your right to own guns and ammunition so expensive that it would be virtually impossible for many Americans to exercise their Second Amendment rights. And that's not all they're doing. They also are trying to make your social media something that can disqualify you from even owning a gun. I'll tell you about this new anti-gun agenda from the left coming up. Finally, Virginia's Governor Northam still hasn't resigned, and it's getting more ridiculous by the day. He's now defending blackface, glossing over slavery, and refusing to leave office. The Ferguson Files starts right now. Elizabeth Warren has announced officially that she's running for president in 2020, and, well, she's off to quite a unique start. Last week, she took advantage of the post-State of the Union news cycle to jump out and apologize for pretending to be Native American. She might be able to claim she was simply mistaken about her ethnicity, but there's no way to get around the fact that she's straight up lied about using that ethnicity for her benefit throughout her entire career. Now, she still insists that she never used the claim to get ahead, when we clearly now know that she actually did. If you don't believe me, just look at the Texas Bar Association in Texas. Now, in the meantime, she's out on the campaign trail working hard to seem like she's relatable and make all of this Native American stuff just kind of disappear. So she decided it was a perfect time to use kids as political human shields. Apparently, her advisors think that by turning her into some sort of I love kids grandma candidate, that it's going to make us forget about the reality that her entire life's work has been based on the fraudulent claim that she somehow was a minority. Just take a look at how desperate her campaign is to get these kids in front of the camera so they can introduce this grandmotherly candidate, Elizabeth Warren 2.0. This, my friends, is when you know that you're really desperate. When you almost literally give a kid whiplash trying to drag him onto the stage so that you can say, look at me, I'm a grandma. Now, I'm sure the media will do their best to report this as a very warm and loving and caring woman who's just trying to get people to vote for her. That's not even the worst part of it, though. Over the weekend, on her very first full official day on the campaign, Warren's message took an unexpected twist when she decided to go full crazy on Donald Trump with this insane prediction. Check out this video from CNN.
By the time we get to 2020, Donald Trump may not even be president. In fact, he may not even be a free person.
Did you listen to that applause? I mean, they love this idea of Trump being behind bars. Now, who knew there were so many at her campaign events hoping that Mike Pence, who they also hate, would actually be in the Oval Office? Just think about that for a second. Now, in all honesty, this might be the best play for her to grab all the angry Bernie Sanders supporters. She has to figure out a way to get a section of the Democratic Party to actually back her. And hating Trump is the easiest way to actually do this. Now, you may recall that Chris Matthews made a similar prediction that Trump would be out of office anytime. Well, we started the countdown clock then, and Warren's wish that Donald Trump will be out of office before the next election reminded me that we haven't checked in with the Chris Matthews tingle up my leg clock in a while. Well, guess what, Chris and Elizabeth Warren? Donald Trump is still our president. And over the last couple weeks, the Democrats have become even more desperate to get Donald Trump out of office. So be ready for more of this type of angry, unhinged rhetoric. None of this, of course, is based on facts. They're doing this because their ideas are failing. This is all they actually have left to offer the American people, which is, hey, that guy might go to prison based on nothing at all. So to the Democrats, good luck with his campaign strategy. I have a feeling it's probably going to work out pretty well for the actual president of the United States of America, Donald Trump. Since the dawn of big government, liberals have been trying to grab guns over and over again. Now remember, liberals don't trust us to actually protect ourselves because They want the government to be in control of literally every aspect of our lives, from healthcare to education to food to forcing you to drive an electric car and also not allowing you to fly or own a cow. This is the Democrats' party mentality in 2020. Now, you cannot make any decision for yourself. That's basically what their platform is. They are against personal freedom. So now, in Chicago, they are considering a new law that would allow a person's social media history to be checked by the government before anyone is allowed to buy a gun there. Now, the Democrats claim that this is to protect you in case you have a mental health issue. Now, what's insane about this idea is that the people who would actually be running the social media, quote, mental health checks are actually not mental health professionals or have ever been trained in anything that deals with mental health. They're not doctors. They may not even have gone to college at all. What's even more terrifying is that you could actually lose your right to own a gun just because of some government worker's predisposition against you or your values. Are they going to say it's a mental health problem if you actually love to hunt and you post pictures of that hunt? What if somebody just posts something like, I'm so depressed, or pray for me, or I'm so anxious? Just imagine if one of these government workers takes a light situation out of context. Maybe you are depressed because you lost a loved one in a car wreck, or you have cancer. Does that mean you shouldn't have the right to defend yourself? Maybe you're depressed because you failed a test in college. Does that mean you shouldn't be able to protect yourself? Or maybe you're depressed because your favorite sports team lost a game, but you didn't tweet the context of that game because anyone reading in real time would actually know what you're talking about. Well, the government worker doesn't know that. Maybe it's one tweet about one situation, not the person's whole life, and now the government can decide that you aren't allowed to own a firearm to protect yourself or your family. Now, because the city of Chicago is so great at policing firearms, let me just give you their actual history on this. As of Monday, February the 4th, 150 people have been shot in Chicago this year alone. 150 people shot in just over 1 month. There had been 25 homicides, and the vast majority of the homicides in Chicago's were from shootings. So let's talk about 2018 so you can get a full picture of Chicago over an entire year. In 2018, there were nearly 3,000 shooting victims and more than 500 murders and about 2,500 separate shooting incidents. So let's not pretend that legal guns are actually the problem, because they have massive gun control in Chicago. In fact, CBS News discussed this last year. Take a look at how they reported on the horrific gun issue in Chicago.
Chicago police have already seized more than 5,000 guns from the streets of Chicago this year. Young men that we met on the south and west sides told us how easy it is to get illegal guns and why many never leave their homes without one.
I know people who can't walk from their house to the store without a gun on them.
Why is that a reality? Why do people feel like they have to have a gun on them?
Because people getting killed left and right. It's sad.
I got shot twice and I could have been gone, but I'm still here, so that's God. I know that's with me, so this hell on earth. Yeah.
It's hell on earth?
Yeah, it's hell on earth.
That's right, you just heard them describe Chicago as actual hell on earth. Well, do you want to trust these same people in charge of safety of this city to decide if you're fit to have a gun to protect yourself? If you were in the city, wouldn't you want to be able to actually protect yourself, your family, your business, your friends? I would. Well, I think they probably know that it's your right, so they're trying to figure out a way around that. Liberals are even trying to make it more expensive to even own a firearm or bullets, because a state representative in Connecticut, they're now coming up with a new brilliant idea to make you not own a gun. They want to tax ammunition at 50%. Sales tax in Connecticut is 6.35%, but they want sales tax for bullets to be nearly 8 times higher. Well, think about it. Your life depends on it, and now it's 8 times higher to buy the bullet you need to protect yourself? Now, check out this out-of-touch video that was tweeted out from the legislator who actually proposed this insane tax hike.
For example, if someone were to buy a 50 cartridge box of ammunition, which goes for about $10, it would increase the price to $15. We see this as a public health measure, similar to what we've done in the state of Connecticut with increasing the tax on cigarettes. When we increase that tax, we've seen a reduction in use. And so we want to continue Connecticut's legacy of being a leader on preventing and addressing gun violence. and we see this as another step forward in that direction.
So now they're disguising taking away your right to own a gun or ammunition as a, quote, public health measure. Well, people are pretty unhealthy when they're dead because they couldn't afford the ammunition to take care of themselves. Now, take a look at the text of the tweet that went along with this video. This tweet, again, is from an actual elected official. She says, quote, "I'm hearing pushback about the need to protect one's home. But how much ammunition does someone really need to do that? Now, ideally, it takes zero because you never have to use your weapon. If you have to, you hope it takes just one bullet, assuming there's only one person intruding your home. But you know how you get good enough to stop someone who means harm to you or your family with one bullet? You spend a lot of damn time at a firing range actually practicing, and that burns through a lot of ammunition. Do you want people to be able to practice to protect themselves and others, or would you prefer people don't really know what they're doing in possession of a gun because they can't afford the ammunition to actually go shoot the number of rounds necessary to be proficient at a range to protect their family?" Now, I know I can easily shoot a couple hundred rounds of ammunition on any given day at a range. And by the way, that's a good thing. It means I'm becoming proficient with something that is actually a deadly weapon. Now, I can tell you from personal experience that if you're faced with a situation in which you're depending on that gun to save your life, you really hope that you have put in the time at the range practicing. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that practice. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for my ability to be able to shoot proficiently at two men that attacked me in an armed robbery. But remember, Democrats don't want you to be proficient with a firearm. They don't want you to be comfortable with a firearm. They want you to be so afraid of firearms that you'll agree to these egregious infringements on your constitutional rights. You better pay attention, because if we don't start actually advocating for our Second Amendment, it's going to disappear through crazy laws like you're seeing in Connecticut and Chicago. The Democratic Party is in massive turmoil in Virginia, and there's no telling how it will end up because Democrats honestly don't care when people in their own party are actual racists or actually abuse women, which they claim to be against. Now, let me remind you about Governor Northam, who had a photo surface of him either in blackface or in a KKK full hood and robe. Now, he first apologized for it, but didn't say which person he was in the picture. And then he decided, screw it, I'll just deny it and say that I was neither of the men in the photo. He did, however, admit to wearing blackface another time in the past. So let's move to the Lieutenant Governor, Justin Fairfax. He's got a mountain of sexual assault and rape allegations against him. And the number 3 official in Virginia, also a Democrat, has come out and admitted, yeah, I got a bunch of blackface photos of me from back in the day as well. So the question is, why are Democrats still defending these men? I'll tell you why. It's politics. All 3 of these men, if they lose their job, a Republican would actually be the governor of Virginia. So they are holding on for dear life. Now, despite calls to resign even from within his own party, Northam is refusing to do so. In fact, he was on CBS this morning talking about why he thinks he is the perfect man for the job right now. Just take a listen to the governor's insane logic.
And why you think you still deserve this job when so many people are calling for you to step down.
Well, again, we have worked very hard. We've had a good first year, and I'm a leader. I've been in some very difficult situations, life and death situations, taking care of sick children. And right now,
you're a doctor, yeah.
Right now, Virginia needs someone that can heal. There's no better person to do that than a doctor. Virginia also needs someone who is strong, who has empathy, who has courage, and who has a moral compass. And that's why I'm not going anywhere. I have learned from this. I have a lot more to learn.
I love how the governor talks about being a healer because he's a doctor. Just remember, this is the same sick doctor that actually is in favor of infanticide. That's right, before the blackface scandal, he endorsed infanticide and talked about how it was totally okay. That's not exactly a healer if you ask me. Not only did he endorse the killing of a child after birth, he's so desperate to be the governor and stay in power that he is defending now the sins of the other Democrats, including the Attorney General, who also wore blackface. Take a look.
I know Attorney General Herring well, as I do Lieutenant Governor Fairfax. And, you know, we have all grown. I don't know what the Attorney General was thinking, what his perception was of of race, of the use of blackface back then. But I can tell you that I'm sure, just like me, he has grown.
Now, this is the same guy who's a doctor who says that he is a healer. Well, tell that to the baby that you've been advocating killing after it's born, Governor. And what's almost as bad is how racist this governor still is on TV. Just listen to what else he had to say in the same interview.
If you look at Virginia's history, we're now at the 400-year anniversary. Just 90 miles from here, in 1619, the first indentured servants from Africa landed on our shores in Old Point Comfort, what we call now Fort Monroe. And while
Also known as slavery.
yes,
Have you ever seen anyone downplay actual racism and slavery like the governor just did? He literally just referred to slavery as, quote, indentured servants from Africa. You've got to be kidding. How do Democrats keep defending this man? Now, that would be disgusting enough for anyone to say, but for a guy trying to get past a massive racial scandal, you would think you would be a little bit more sensitive to how insensitive that actually is. Now, there's no way a Republican would have managed to stay in office after a scandal like this. The media would not allow it, and by the way, the GOP, for that matter, would not allow it. I'm just waiting for the outrage to come from Black Lives Matter. Where the hell are you? I'm waiting for the outrage to come from Jesse Jackson, the Rainbow Push Coalition. Again, where the hell are you? I'm waiting for calls to resign to come from President Barack Obama. Again, where the hell are you? I'm waiting for the Democrats who always scream about racism to actually get rid of a real racist in their own party. The people of Virginia, they're waiting too. And waiting and waiting and waiting for y'all to actually do the right thing. Slavery was a horrific, dehumanizing event in history. And pretending that it was something else does everyone a disservice. I'll leave it there. That's it for the Ferguson File today, and I'll see you back here real soon on Blaze TV.